My name is Nicole. Standing outside the ballroom of that luxurious private island resort, I watched as chaos unfolded inside. My so-called sister, Lily, was screaming, her once beautiful hair and dress now streaked with neon green and orange under the UV lights. My father, Victor, was red-faced and shouting threats, but the resort manager just calmly informed him that I was the client. It all started when I was on the verge of getting my life back. I'm a risk auditor, and for years, I'd been living frugally. I drove an old car that rattled at the slightest speed, and I ate instant noodles more often than I'd like to admit. All my spare money went into a savings account labeled for my health. For 3 long years, I'd been suffering from a chronic pain condition that made every step feel like walking on broken glass. The price to fix it was a hefty $60,000, but after 5 years of saving, I finally had the money. I was sitting in a doctor's office in downtown Boston when I got the call. It was my father, Victor. He was in a complete panic, sobbing and hyperventilating. He claimed he was in serious legal trouble, involved in a bad business deal with loan sharks. If he didn't come up with $60,000 by the end of the week, he'd end up in federal prison. As a daughter, I was conditioned to be the family's safety net. Despite my auditor brain telling me something was off, I transferred the entire balance of my health fund to his account. I canceled my surgery, thinking I'd saved my family. 2 days later, when I went to my parents' house, I found a receipt for a non-refundable deposit at a private island resort for Lily's dream wedding. The cost was exactly $60,000, and the date was just an hour after I'd wired the money. That was when I realized I'd been played. They saw me as nothing more than an ATM, not a person with my own needs and pain. After that, things only got worse. Lily treated my apartment like her free store. She'd take my best blazers and high-end skincare products without a second thought. When I confronted her about a missing $300 serum, she just rolled her eyes and said, "Relax, Nicole. Sisters share. You're just a workaholic. Who are you trying to impress?" Then came the catering contract. Victor and my mother, Diana, came to me on a Sunday. Instead of asking about my pain, they pushed a contract in my face, asking me to co-sign as a guarantor. It was a liability for another $15,000 if they didn't pay, and I knew they wouldn't. But the final straw was when I saw the draft seating chart. I was placed at table 19 in the back corner, next to the service kitchen and the DJ speakers. I wasn't listed as the sister of the bride. I was just hidden away like a dirty secret at the party I'd funded. That was when I decided to take action. I told Victor I'd handle all the vendor contracts. The next day, I brought a stack of papers to my parents' house. Among the real vendor contracts and liability releases, I slipped in a deed in lieu of foreclosure attached to a commercial security agreement. The collateral was their house. Victor, in his desperation to get the wedding going, signed everything without reading. He thought he'd swindled me again, but he'd just signed his eviction notice. As for Lily, when she came to my apartment complaining about her hair and rummaged through my cabinets, I let her take the last thing she hadn't stolen, a limited edition hair mask. I'd emptied it and replaced the content with a mixture of cheap conditioner and a UV reactive compound. On the wedding day, I arrived at the resort early. I'd already paid the rush fee directly to the resort and was listed as the primary account holder. When Victor asked me to cover the open bar hold, I just smiled and said I'd handled it. I then slipped into the AV booth and tricked the technician into turning on the UV lights. When the lights went out and then the UV lights came on, Lily's head became a neon disaster. The party turned into a laughingstock, and the resort staff shut down the event at my instruction. When Victor told me to get out of his house, I placed the deed on the table. His loan had matured, and the house was now mine. Outside, my grandmother, Martha, was waiting in a town car. "Did it work?" she asked. "Liquidation complete," I replied. Lily tried to spin the story, but the security footage proved she'd stolen the hair product. #GlowingThiefBride trended for days. My parents were evicted, and 2 days later, I sold the house, paid for my surgery, and launched my own auditing firm, specializing in asset recovery for financial abuse victims. My family thought I was their safety net, but they forgot that sometimes the asset gets liquidated.